Thank you very much, Aid. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Having worked 14 years on electrification around Europe and the world, this is my first speech at an EV conference in the UK, so thank you for that opportunity. I wanted to try and close the day today a little bit about urban mobility and perhaps the different needs and the challenges that younger generations of customers are having in the transition towards a more sustainable form of mobility. And to help me do that, I just wanted to try and put out there a simple question. Is small the new big? If you think about mobility over the last 20 years or so, we went through a massive transition, a massive growth in size of vehicles, probably not just from SUVs, but from the crossovers that have entered into our universe. I worked on the Nissan Qashqai. It really set off the crossover market here in the UK and around Europe. And then since then, the likes of the Nissan Leaf, of course Tesla as well, have really tried to open up the electric vehicle market, which is another huge transition. But I believe to fully move towards 100% zero emissions, we need to look at all consumers' needs. And it's been a topic raised a couple of times today to think about customers and about what they need rather than what we need as an OEM or what we want to work on as middle-aged old white men in car companies. So if we take a look at it, the mobility system in our cities around Europe is broken. There are huge challenges from air pollution that are costing our cities and costing businesses in our cities millions and billions of euros a year. But on top of that, there's a challenge of congestion, and congestion limiting the ability to grow GDP and to grow businesses, which all make us happier and stronger in society and give us more opportunity to move towards more sustainable mobility. We don't have the solutions. But for me, especially for this younger generation, the solution lies at this mix of both considering the energy that will power our mobility, but also the efficiency of that mobility. So energy, of course, Nissan Ariya. I drove my Ariya to the train station this morning to come up here to this conference. Energy is one part of it, and it's absolutely something that for many people with off-street parking, with the charging solutions that have been talked about a lot in the different panels today, people and more people will transition. But you start thinking about the ability to charge your vehicle in a city and the challenges that finding a lamppost charger, which was an idea I first heard about at a conference in Norway about 10 years ago, and you start seeing them on the streets in London, there simply aren't enough of them to help everyone move towards electric mobility. And at the same time, you have efficiency. The ability to try and move people to electric vehicles is no good if they just move over to the same vehicles that we're driving and we're putting on the streets today, the crossovers of this world, the sedans of this world, because it doesn't solve the other problem of cities. It doesn't solve the space issue and the congestion issue. By reducing the size of the vehicles that we move around in, or by, of course, moving to mass transit, we help start solving the problems of mobility, not just solving air pollution. So this younger audience, what are their needs? What are they really looking for? They've come from a generation which is completely alien to me in some ways, and I have a 16 and a 14-year-old daughter. They don't understand ownership. They look at price as a huge priority. Absolutely, they want to move around in the way they want to move around. That multimodal mindset. They don't want to own one particular thing if it doesn't satisfy all their needs. And I should have put in the last comment there about flexible ownership. It's flexible usership. They don't understand the concept of ownership. So how can we as businesses provide this younger generation the opportunity to do what they absolutely will do, move towards more sustainable choices? But they won't if we don't provide it in a way that benefits them and supports them. And you've started to see, and some of the brands today are displaying in the tent at the back, we're starting to see these micro-mobility solutions gaining hold, gaining a foothold. Yes, there are challenges with them. Yes, some of them have started and stopped, and a lot of the startups that were there a couple of years ago have transitioned on. But they are providing something that the bigger OEMs are not providing, that ability to satisfy the younger audiences with a product and a service that hopefully will move them beyond their mobile phone as a sense of freedom. My 16-year-old, as she's starting to sort of understand what I do as a job at long last, not only sees her mobile phone as a freedom, but the ability to use transportation as well, the ability to get out there post-pandemic, to move around and engage with people. They cannot do that in the products and services that we tend to provide without micromobility. Which is why, as Nissan, we've partnered up with a company in the last few months called Silence Eco-Urban Mobility. We're conscious that from Nissan, we passionately believe in the move to electrification. That's why we invested in the Nissan Leaf. But our expertise is in delivering products and services to families, to businesses all around Europe and the world. Our expertise has not been engaging with 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. Silence has been focused on this with their electric motorbikes, one of the leading electric motorbikes in Europe, for the last 10 years. They're coming at the industry from a very different space. So by meeting together, we believe that the partnership can help them scale up, but also help Nissan find a new audience to engage with for the longer term. Now, the S04 nano car that you see behind you is a product that is natively connected. It's a product that is designed for democratizing micromobility. And by that I mean it's a product that businesses, that cities, that universities, that towns can take on their own and start using as a mobility service for their customers, rather than as an OEM trying to do it all ourselves. And it's a product that has a battery that you can actually take out and swap, or a battery that you can roll out on its trolley and charge in your flat, and charge in your place of work, or charge in your terraced house when you can't find charging on the street. We've already started deliveries in France. We're moving on into Germany and into Italy. And if you look at the market over the last 12 months in those countries, France has expanded by over 50% in the last 12 months. There are products coming onto the marketplace now, and you see outside the Microlino, that are electrified, that are more accessible, that have a size issue to many of the people's audiences in this group here, and certainly to my eyes is what I would want to drive day in, day out. But that size is an opportunity for 16, 17, 18-year-olds who absolutely want smaller forms of mobility and don't want to waste anything with their purchase power. And today I'm very happy to announce we're also bringing this to the UK. This type of segment is not something that we've seen en masse in the United Kingdom. So we've put our press release out there. We'll be distributing the vehicle through our retailers to be able to make sure that we can reach new audiences, even in the UK, which, being a Brit, living in Europe probably 50% of his life, or living around the world 50% of his life, I do find it funny how we have a particular view on mobility that actually can be enriched and can be nourished by looking at what's happening on the continent, looking at what's happening in Asia, about how people move around more efficiently in a more sustainable way. So I think the scale of the collaboration that we see is not just about what Nissan can do for this partnership, but it's also about working with others and trying to find ways to use the electric motorbike, the electric nano car, and the battery that powers both of these vehicles that can be wheeled out and swapped and charged at home, as I mentioned, in ways that satisfy not just younger customers, but also satisfy businesses with last mile delivery, moving towards a more sustainable position as well. So I just want to pull it to a close by thinking about some of the themes that came up today. One of the themes was around partnership, and that's absolutely what is at the core of this approach that Nissan is taking. It's taking a view that partnerships can bring better products and services to more consumers than we can alone, both with Silence, but also with towns, cities, and businesses all across Europe. It's also about ideas, and I think the ideas comment that was mentioned earlier, the ideas that start in conferences like this can really help accelerate and move that transition on towards a more sustainable platform, I think is fundamental to this. What Nissan will bring to the market will be more powerful when we start partnering up with businesses, with infrastructure partners, with cities around the UK and around Europe to reach more customers, moving to what we all generally want, which is a more sustainable form of mobility that starts reducing the amount of pollution we're putting into the planet and starts helping customers to be able to move to this environment by spending less money. And I think that's also something that is sometimes lost in this conversation. It's that mixture of sustainability, bringing the right products and services to the market to help customers move across, but also not asking them to pay more in that transition. So a massive pleasure to be here. I hope the second day goes as well as the first, and thank you very much.